Okay, so this is a video for the shaping for the cup cozy. So what I'm going to do is just show you the finished one here, and then I'm going to unpick it back to this row and then show you in the video how to shape it. So what I've done, what you might like to do, is I've just put a piece of yarn through, and this is what's called my right side. So on the written instructions, this shows you the side when you're actually doing your decreases. On the wrong side, this side, you'll just be stitching the same number of stitches for the shaping. So that'll be clearer in the written instructions. So I just decided to put a marker on the front so I knew which side I was decreasing and which side, when I've turned it, I'm not decreasing. So I've also got these stitch markers here at the end of my last row before the shaping, and then I can move those stitch markers up as I go so I know where I'm up to. So this last row here, I think, or is it here? One of these last ones, it has, in the pattern, it has 11 stitches. So as we go up, we're reducing by 1. So that's 2 rows here with the shaping. So what we've done is we've decreased to 9 and then stitched 9. We've decreased here to 7, stitched 7, decreased to 5, stitched 5, decreased to 3 and stitched 3. And then I've basically come to the center of that last 3 stitches and then made my loop up here. So that's what we're going to do. So right side we're decreasing when we flip it and turn our work. So this side we'll just be doing the same number of stitches across. So it's a lot easier if you've had to adjust the width here, because excuse me, technical issues, because your mug, your cup cozy needs to be narrower. Just make sure it's an odd number of stitches so that when you're doing your decreasing here, it's easy to follow that you say you might do 13 down to 11 down to 9, so on as you do the shaping. So whether it's wider or narrower, it's a lot easier if you have an odd number. So if you have to adjust that to fit your mug or your cup, then do that. I hope that makes sense. If not, just put any questions for clarification in the comments of the video or on the Facebook page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this now. So I'm just going to pull that undone, done, back to this last row here. So let's do that, and then I'll just crochet through the shaping for you, and then you can see it as I do it. So, and one more row. Let's just count that I've got 11 there in this row here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's not the last row. And that's why my stitch marker's down here. Okay, so this is the last row here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So I'm just going to move these stitch markers up so I know that is the last row. I had it marked the row below. That's why, see, I still have to count to check my work. Otherwise that wouldn't have been right. So that one's on the right marker. So this is now our, I'll just do a chain and then turn. So this is our right side, which is row 1 of our shaping. So your marker, the right side of your work should be there. So I'm just going to finish the previous row with a chain 1 and then turn to that side. Okay, so the first part of the shaping is after our chain 1, we're going to skip this first stitch, which happens to have the stitch marker. So then I'm going to work into this next one, a single crochet, and I want to do 9 across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's that's our last stitch for that row. So to finish this row into this last stitch, just so it looks nicer, because otherwise you're going to have this funny step here on that side, is I'm just going to do a slip stitch into that last stitch there. And that does not count as a stitch, so that loop there doesn't count. So let's count across my single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the last loop is the slip stitch, but doesn't count. So again, if you want to, you can take these stitch markers if you have them. You can use safety pins, you can use anything you like really. And I am going to mark the last stitch of each end of this row. So it'll be stitch 1 and stitch 9. Then it'll just help me as I turn. So once I've got to the end, so this is row 1 of shaping, I'm going to do a chain 1 and then I'm going to turn my work. And you can see my marker isn't there. That means I'm onto the row 2. So an even row. Alright, so all I'm going to do, now I've done my chain 1, is I'm just going to work in those stitches back. So again, this loop here is the slip stitch, which is why my stitch marker's here. That's the first single crochet of this row. So you can tuck your stitch marker out of the way, and then I'm just going to do 9 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oops, that didn't come all the way through, 7, 8, and then the last one in that stitch there, 9. Okay, so and then we're going to do a chain and turn our work. So again, we're back onto a right side, which is an odd numbered row, which means we're up to row 3. So that means we're going to skip this first stitch here, and we're going to do our first single crochet into here. Again, we can take these stitch markers off. Thank you to Pauline for donating some stitch markers on Tuesday night. All of mine are in other projects at the moment, so I've moved that one up, and I will put this one into the last one when I get to the end of the row. So now we've done 9, so our next row, row 3, will come down to 7 stitches. So I've already done 1 here, then I'm going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's my last stitch there, so I'm going to get my stitch marker and mark 7. Then again, we've got this weird sort of step down here, so that's where we're going to do our slip stitch. So do my slip stitch, which we're not counting as a stitch, do a chain and then turn. So we're on the wrong side, which is our even row, which means we're just going to stitch the same number 7 all the way across. So again, we can just flick that stitch marker out of the way and do 7 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 into that last stitch with a stitch marker. Chain 1 and then turn again. So this is our right side, so we're on an odd numbered row, which means we're decreasing our stitches. So again, we can move our stitch markers up. So we've done 7, so we're going to reduce, so we're going to have 5 stitches. So we're going to skip this first stitch here, and we're going to go straight into that stitch there. So that's our first one, and then we're going to be doing 5 single crochets across. I'll leave that there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's our last stitch. Put our stitch marker in there, and then we're going to do that little slip stitch in here, and then we're going to turn our work and work back across. So we're down to 5 stitches. So then we're just going to do, my stitch marker's kind of in a weird spot, so I'm just going to move that. fact, I'll just take that out at the moment. So remember that loop there doesn't count, that's our slip stitch. So we're going to do 1, let's put that stitch marker back in, 2, 3, 4, and the last one here, 5. Okay, again we're going to do a chain 1 and turn our work. We're back on the right side, so that's an odd numbered row, which means we are going to be decreasing again. So we're going to do 3. So again, skipping that first stitch here, and we're going to do 1. Again, I'm going to move my stitch marker up into that first stitch, which is here. So we're reducing to 3 stitches in this row, 1, 2, 3, and that last one, which was the last one on the previous row, we're just going to do a slip stitch, and then that's our last stitch of that row there. Because remember, that slip stitch here does not count. See that last loop, it's a slip stitch, does not count. So that's why we've got 1 and 2 and 3. Then again, we're going to do a chain 1 and turn our work wrong side row, which means it's an even numbered row. And we're going to do our last, we're going to go across this row. That's right, even numbered row, carry on that number, which is a 3. 3 across, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. So we're really down to the last part of the shaping. You can see it now. And so all we've got left on this right side row is 1 stitch left. So if I skip this stitch, we just skip stitching into this one. So that's our final decrease to get down to 1 stitch. So I'm going to take my stitch markers out so they're out of the way. Pop out of there without pulling a thread. Right. And so I'm skipping this one. Then that's our only stitch left in that row is the middle one. Single crochet, and we don't stitch in that last one, we just do a slip stitch. And then we're basically at the top, so you can do a chain 1 and turn and just stitch into that last single crochet in the center if you like. So it's all lined up in the middle, which is this one here. You can do a single crochet in there, and that's the end of your shaping. There we go. Just put those stitch markers out of the way, and then we just need to do our button loop. So once we've done that very last single crochet here in the top, we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you've got a long tag off the end there, and then we're going to go back to where that last single crochet was, that gap there, and we're going to make a slip stitch. So we push our hook through, yarn over, pull back through, and then through both loops, and then we're going to pull that tight, and there is your button loop. So to finish off, all we need to do is to have a pair of scissors handy. And all I do to finish off is I pull through one last time, and I pull up a long loop like that. Then I get my scissors and I cut at the end. So there's my button loop over here. There's my yarn here. And this is the last loop that I've just pulled up in that last stitch there. And I'm just going to cut it there. And then you just pull the yarn that's attached to your ball out. Then you'll be left with a little bit of a bumpy loop there from your slip stitch, and just pull that tight. Just hold that there and pull it nice and tight. Then you need to get a tapestry needle and sew this end in. So work out which is your front, which is your back, which won't matter at this stage, and just zigzag with a tapestry needle back and forth underneath the loops here, and the same at the beginning end here. You've got your tail from the beginning. Just put that onto a needle and then just go back and forth this way, sort of zigzag up and down a few different directions, and then once you've done enough, then just trim off the ends. Then all you need to do is put your button on. So again, we're going to get the mug that you're using. Let me just make this zoom out a little bit. Going to put that on the mug that you're going to use once your ends are all sewn in nicely. I'll do this with my ends hanging out. Tuck that through the handle. Get that round there. And then you just want to mark where you're going to put your button. So the handy thing if you have stitch markers, or if you've got a piece of thread, is just mark it where you want it, which is about there in the middle, and then just secure your button there, and then you're done and dusted. So this is the one that I had finished the other day, and I have embellished it this morning with this crochet chain stitch, which is actually just a slip stitch through the fabric. So I'm going to put that in another video with that technique, and then it just ends up like that on the back. So it's a bit wonky. You can see how wonky it is on the back, not so wonky on the front. And then you can even do some cursive writing with this technique, personalize the cup cozy for someone for a gift. So I'm going to leave the video there. I will post this video up onto YouTube and then put the link in the group. Have a great day. Bye.